So I'm in my happy place right now. So originally, oh, by the way, how's everybody doing? Originally, I wasn't really planning on doing a vinyl collection till maybe the fall, but there was a dollar sale today, and I found some really good records. Plus, I had some new records I had already saved up. So I was like, you know what? I'm kind of anticipating this one and shit like that, and here it is. The first album I'm going to present to y'all is The Barges in a Special Way, released in 1983 on Motown Records. I have been looking forever for this album and shit. In my opinion, this album and All This Love are their best albums. Rhythm of the Night was okay, but it was a bit too poppy and commercial. I'll save that for another discussion. Yeah, the Barge. I already have their very first album when they were known as the Barges, which I showed you guys a couple years back. Singles albums known for are Time Will Reveal and Love Me in a Special Way. But there were like a lot of like noteworthy songs like Stay With Me, and A Dream, which everybody all my hip hop heads should know about those two songs and shit like that. They've been sampled heavily in hip hop. And yeah, it's crazy though, but yeah, this is a very dope album. I love this album. It has that 80s early 80s sound I fucking like in soul music. And yeah, man, the barge and shit. Yeah, the barge in a special way. I might do a review on this one day. Not too sure yet. Then I have Earth, Wind and Fire's Faces album, released in 1980 on Columbia under ARC. I recently did a review on Keep Your Head to the Sky. I have That's the Way of the World. I have Gratitude, Spirit. I have a surprise Earth, Wind and Fire album I found last week. And I got Raised. So singles albums known for are Let Me Talk, You, Back on the Road, Take It on the Sky, and Love Goes On and Win or Lose. Yeah, this was actually a double album and shit. To be honest with you, when I first heard this album years back, it was okay, but it was somewhat forgettable to me. Because they were kind of going through some bullshit around this time, but other than that, I'm going to definitely re-listen to this album because I'm definitely going to review all the albums from 73 to 81, which I consider their prime. And I originally was not even going to just do a review on this album without the vinyl for some reason because thank you, because this album is kind of very hard to come by. I believe I don't know if it's out of print, but it's just one of those albums like you have to search long and hard for. So Earth, Wind and Fire, Faces, 1980. Oh, and then we got this album right here is a classic album. You guys are gonna probably raise your eyebrows by this, but y'all gonna probably raise your eyebrows on this one, but I don't care. But this album's dope. It's LaBelle, Nightbirds, released in 1974 on Epic Records. Whoo! This album right here is fucking sick. Like, and this album's sick. Look at That's LaBelle, Patti LaBelle's old group. True, it's in the quiet taste. I can review that, but I've been looking forever for this album because like a lot of people forget, Patti LaBelle had a rock new wave side towards her too. Like between Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells, up to her solo career, LaBelle was a lot more experimental and shit like that, which a lot of people can never really praise Patti LaBelle for that versatility. But yeah, singles album is known for. I think only came out with one single, which is Lady Marmalade, which everybody should know about that song. Vulagu Couché album. Like everybody should know about that song. Oh yeah, yeah. I'm a. It's Pink, Missy Elliott, Maya, Lil Kim. Yeah, that's a dope remix. I love that remix. Yeah, the Lady Marmalade remix with Pink, Lil Kim, Christina Aguilera, Maya, and Missy Elliott. Check that out. They did that song justice. Like Pink fucking did a thing on that song. And I'm not the biggest Pink fan. I mostly like her earlier stuff, but yeah, I love that cover. But back to this album. Singles album is known for as Lady Marmalade. What Can I Do? Um, and I believe that's it. Yeah. So yeah, this was also like around the time because this was kind of like their breakthrough album and shit, to say the least. And this was like they were working with Alan Tozan and shit, and they kind of went for like a more glam rock style with this album. Cause if you see like the costumes they were wearing, there you can tell they were influenced by like David Bowie and all them cats, that glam rock shit. So yeah, very dope album. I love this album and shit. Classic album. And then I got Barry White with Barry White Sings for Someone You Love, released in 1977 on, I believe this was released on CBS. No, 20th Century Fox. Excuse me. Yeah, you guys should know who Barry White is. I have his first two albums. I've Got So Much to Give and Stone Gone. And this album right here was released 1977. In my opinion, this is my favorite album from Barry White. Like this album right here is just, it's so smooth. It's it's smooth as hell. That's the best way to compare it. And Barry White, man, definitely one of my favorite artists of all time. He made deep voice niggas feel confident about themselves and shit. But that's another story for a different day. I have a story for that one day. But singles album is known for is Ecstasy, When You Lay Down Next to Me, Playing Your Game Baby, and Oh What a Night for Dancing. Yeah, everybody sampled from this album, from Mary J. Blige to Black Moon. So this is very much one of his most popular albums and shit. And also too, this album has my favorite Barry White song on it too. So yeah, Barry White Sings for Someone You Love. So glad I got this album. Then I got Van Halen with 1984, released in, guess what year? I only had their first album, their self-titled first album and shit, which is probably my favorite album from them. But every album from the David Lee Roth has been very, very good. Van Halen 2 was kind of iffy to me, but I'll save that for a different day. But yeah, 1984. Where do I begin with this album? Singles albums known for are Jump, House of Pain, I'll Wait, Panama, Little Dreamer, and Hot for Teacher. Which Hot for Teacher is definitely maybe one of my favorite, in my probably my top five Van Halen songs. Like that song was just so crazy and shit. But yeah, around this time, Van Halen were kind of going through some creative differences. Well, mostly Eddie and David, to be realistic and shit. Because there's like a lot of tension. Like, for one, creative control, and David didn't like the fact that Eddie was doing outside work with other artists, like most notably Michael Jackson. He did the guitar riff for Beat It. But yeah, it was like a lot going on around this time. And I believe this is actually the most successful album. Let me double check. Because they were very successful. Even the Sammy Hagar era, yeah. So, yeah. This album went diamond. So yeah, this is actually their most successful. Yeah, this and their first album were neck to neck because they're both diamond. But yeah, this is an album where it's commercial, but at the same time, it's still ill and shit. Like this album right here is one of my favorite rock albums from the '80s and shit. Maybe my favorite rock album from '84. But yeah, man, this was an ironic. You guys should know this was the last album before David Lee Roth left the first time and shit. And I'm gonna definitely do a review on this album, so stay tuned on that. Okay, I got two more albums. And I got Tina Marie, the Ivory Queen of Soul, right here, with Naked to the World, released in 1988 on, excuse me, I think this was Epic? CBS Records, excuse me. Yes, Tina Marie, Tina Marie, Tina Marie. I already have her Lady T album, which is one of my favorite Tina Marie albums. I had Robbery at one point, but my dumbass sold that shit just to get some extra bread for a bill, but I can always get that album back. It's not expensive though, but yeah, Naked to the World. Singles albums known for are um Ooh La La and Work It. Ooh La La and Work It. I love that song Work It, by the way. What else? Sur- Surrealistic Pillow and Bad Boy. Yeah, this album is. I shared this album on my Instagram and stuff like that. So this is one of my favorite Tina Marie albums because she went back to her roots with this one. Cause like you guys should know, the Emerald City album that she dropped in '86. I personally I like the album, but I did have that album I think at 1.2, but I sold it. Yeah, what the fuck? I'm over here selling albums and shit, but yeah, I did like that album, Emerald City, because it was her experimental. It was like her Minneapolis sound album. And a lot of people kind of said, "Oh, she's trying to do rock now." Like the black community, they got petty out of nowhere as usual. But hey, it's come on. I admit we can all be petty when it comes to shit like that. But this is probably like maybe my third or fourth favorite album from Tina Marie, and she was bad as fuck though. Like, do you think Tina Marie was bad? Yeah, especially around the late '80s, early '90s though. Whew. Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely gonna. I need some more of her albums because right after I review Stevie Wonder's albums, I'm gonna talk about Rick James's discography, and I was thinking about throwing in some Tina Marie albums here and there, but yeah, Naked to the World, definitely a dope album, highly slept on and shit. The best way to describe this album, it's the evening time and you're about to go to your girl's place and shit, and you driving in the sunset. That's basically the best way to describe this album and shit. But yeah. And then the final album is an album I've been looking for years. Finally glad I got this album. In my opinion, this is like my favorite album from the group. Earth, Wind and Fire's All in All, released in 1977 on Columbia Records. Man, this album, man. This was really the first album where, what's his name? Maurice White really pushed forward his direction and shit. Cause you guys should know this was really the Charles Stephanie died when they were working on the Spirit album and shit. And it's crazy too because when they recorded the song Spirit, which was like a tribute to Charles Stephanie, they got news that he died and shit, which is crazy as hell. But yeah, all in all, singles albums known for are Serpentine Fire, Fantasy, which I have to admit, when I first heard Fantasy, I did not like that song. Like, I don't know, it was just like when I was young, it just something about that song. It will live forever. Like I just did not feel fuck with that. But now I kind of got the point of the song and shit. Um, Jupiter and Magic Mind. Yeah. I always thought Love's Holiday was a single, but yeah, it wasn't a single. But anyway, yeah, this album right here, very dope album. I love this album. A lot of fans and critics have called this their best album, which I have to agree. But my favorite albums, I feel like rivals that would be That's the Way of the World, Gratitude and Spirit. So I felt like these four albums could easily be my favorite album from Earth, Wind and Fire. But yeah, and this album kind of won some Grammy awards. Like it won, I know, it won. The album won Best R&B Vocal Performance, and Running won Best R&B Instrumental. So yeah, expect a review on this album though. And that's all the time I have. Stay tuned for more. Peace.